All right, welcome back to Bayou Time. Jason Serenier fixed our phone problem, so I apologize for the two callers that I hung up on while we were testing it during the break. So if you want to call back, feel free to do so. Let's get back with the phone caller that was on the air. Hello, welcome to Bayou Time.
Good evening, Jason. I can hear you now.
Very good, thank you.
It looked like Governor Rick Perry's got his hands full with all those fires in Texas, huh?
It sure does. And, you know, I've spoken with a number of people who came back from the LSU game from Dallas, and there was a huge traffic jam on the way back. And, you know, normally it takes about six hours to, I guess, 7 hours to make that drive from our area. And it ended up being, you know, like a 9-hour drive for a lot of people with all of that mess.
Yeah. I heard last week Jeff Landry talk briefly about his possible support of Rick Perry, his run for president. But I wonder if he knew that Rick Perry 10 years ago was the Texas campaign manager for Al Gore.
Okay. What would be wrong with that? What would be wrong with that? Well,
I think people might question his campaign style if he's supporting Al Gore, and they might question, well, you know, how Republican is he? You know.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you know. Somebody might look at that as a disadvantage for him, and maybe they choose not to vote for him and support him. But maybe he decided to support Al Gore just because he thought, in his opinion at the time, he was the best candidate or a good candidate. You know, so if somebody wants to hold that against him, that's certainly their right to do so and not vote for him. But I see what you mean, because now it seems that it's a trend, especially in Republican races, for people to go with the person who is furthest to the right. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing in moving forward. In other words, you often see races get dirty in the fact that somebody will say, well, you're not really a conservative, you're just a Republican, just to try to gain votes. And that's oftentimes a ploy to try to say, I'm more to the right than he or she is, so vote for me.
Well, I tell you, Jason, I've been watching Republican debates now weekly. Mm-hmm. They're coming up every week, man, sometimes twice a week. It seems like every time I turn the television on, there's a Republican debate.
It's a different world now, isn't it?
Yeah, I can see why maybe President Obama had a problem getting a schedule. But my understanding from last Sunday's news that when he asked John Boehner for a time slot for a joint session of Congress for him to deliver his speech,
yeah,
John replied to him, any date of his choosing. But it seemed like the date he chose wasn't very good, because John Boehner's offer was not a sincere offer. And, you know, people can talk about common courtesy, but it seems to me like...
Well, I think that was as far as the schedule of convening, you know, the House.
Well, when you give a president a date and you renege on it, you know,
yeah,
we can talk about common courtesy about that. And the other thing I'd like to talk about...
Well, look, I think in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter.
It's political, Jason.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
It's political. Yeah, it's just political gamesmanship. That's all that is. I mean, I just think that
it's a waste of time, and what it is, it's a waste of time, and people and the people we're electing to help make laws and you know, take back laws, redact laws, or really have our function of government working, balance the budget, if you will. You know, they're getting consumed in this issue of he's holding a press conference at this time, or he's holding a speech at this time, and we're trying to do this. It really doesn't matter. You know, if you want to criticize somebody for their policies, that's one thing, but I really don't think it matters in the grand scheme of things. at what time somebody's going to hold a speech or what time somebody's going to hold a debate. If you want to watch it, you can watch both of them.
I agree with that. I just felt like the speaker didn't give a sincere offer when he came back and reneged on the president's request. And the other thing I would talk about is, you know, it was a little scary when the president talked about he couldn't guarantee payments on Social Security. You know, Congress makes the laws, and Congress holds the purse strings when it comes to payments. It's going to come down to prioritization. I just feel like it's unfair criticism, because it would be like criticizing the parish presidents for coming on television and telling us that we got a hurricane coming that could be as bad as Allison for people that flooded in their homes. I just think that when bad news comes, we need to pay attention, we need to be vigilant, and we need to write our congressmen and let them know how we feel. And to me, that's true politics. That's not just some angler coming on television trying to make his point in an ugly way. And you have a good night, Jason.
Thank you for the call. All right. Thank you for holding. Welcome to Bayou Time.
Good afternoon, Jason.
Hi.
How's the baby doing, man?
Baby's doing well. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Mama's doing well as well.
That's good. I bet Daddy's spoiling it, huh?
Well, everybody's spoiling her, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's precious when they're small like that, Jason.
That's right.
I want to say something about Mr. Vasher called a while ago. He said the Corps of Engineers is stupid. Jason, let me put it like this here. Corps of Engineers is not stupid. They're smart, bro. You know why? I'm going to tell you why. They're doing wrong here. Don't get me wrong. What they're doing, they're making more money for them. That's why that's why they're doing more studies. Because more studies they do, that's more money going in their pocket. If they shut down the study and let y'all build the levees, they ain't going to make no more money. So they're being smart for their side, you know what I'm saying?
Especially when they have immunity from being sued.
Yeah, that's wrong what they're doing, though, Jason. You ain't been doing no fishing?
No, I haven't had the time to really do much fishing since the baby's been born.
Well, you're going to get to be an old man then, man. You work too much.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You know, it seems that's my life right now, changing diapers and prosecuting cases. But that's not a bad thing.
You got to make it while you could. Jason, I want to ask you one thing.
Yeah.
Y'all gas prices going down over there, ain't it?
You know, it's really been around the same.
Yeah, because I've been hearing for 3 weeks now on TV the gas supposed to go down 10, 15 cents in 3 weeks.
I don't think it's gone.
And that went down over here.
Yeah, I don't think it's gone down that far, but it's fluctuated back and forth. But it's been pretty
I was
stable.
still up at 359. They never did go down for 2 months. They've been like that for 2 months.
Okay.
And I went to Houma last week, and at the gas station across from where Martin got the TV station.
Yeah.
I believe it was like 320 something, 323 or 322, I think.
Okay.
I paid that.
All right.
And I believe it's the cheapest station around, I think.
It's sad to say, but that ain't bad in today's world.
Yeah. Well,
it's still high, but considering the prices we've been having, you know,
that's why everything else is so high, and that's why people's out of work, because that's what's holding people out of work, because of the price of fuel.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that, but
well, let's hope it goes down while people are shrimping.
Yeah. No, I don't hold you too long then. Take care of you and the wife and the baby and dad and mom, and y'all have a good weekend.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
All right. Actually, baby's going to be baptized this weekend, so big event in our lives. Hello, welcome to Bayou Time.
Good evening, Jason.
Hi, go ahead.
You know, it's funny, your caller before last, you know,
Yeah.
he wants to talk about Terry running Al Gore's campaign. I'm not sure if he did or he didn't. I'll take his word for it.
Mm-hmm.
But the same caller would have been all over voting for Al Gore. You know, I mean, he's a yellow dog Democrat, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, but I think what he's trying to point out is if you know, that maybe people are saying let's support this guy, in one token, in the same token, they're saying let's not support them because they're not right wing enough. So
all
saying they're
they have to do is look at
contradicting
his record
themselves.
as governor.
Right. But I think the point he's trying to make is he's contradicting himself. But that's his opinion.
The man had a job. You can run a campaign without necessarily
Certainly
being for the views of the person that you're running a campaign for.
Certainly.
I mean, it's a job. It pays money.
Right.
And there's all kinds of people.
Well,
that,
but maybe he thought that the individual, regardless of party, was a good person. Maybe he knew him on a personal level, and that's why he chose to do it as well.
Yeah, and did he show any problems with Al Gore's campaign? He didn't say there was any fault with the campaign, did he?
All right.
So, I mean, if you want to talk about Perry, talk about his record. In Texas, they've got a balanced budget, and they've got jobs, and the Democrats want to complain.
What do you think about the national media, really the comics, if you will, more of a liberal side of the media, kind of comparing Perry to George Bush, with the way he speaks and the way he talks and carries himself?
Well, if he's a conservative, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
And I want a man to be a man and stand up and say what he wants and what he thinks. As far as the other caller also, the media, having the debate on and the president at the same time, my understanding is that President Obama announced that he was going to have his debate before he even okayed it with the Senate. With the House, Representative Boehner. It wasn't that Boehner gave him any date without exception.
Let me ask you, because I just don't get it. Why is everybody so upset over it?
Well, it's not that big a deal to me.
Okay.
The president, the Democrats want to say that Boehner slighted the president.
Right.
Who died and made President Obama God?
Well, but he is the president. But
he's the president. But there's etiquette that goes on there.
Well, I understand
Traditionally,
that.
the president.
But this catfighting back and forth about who scheduled the debate first or who scheduled it.
Well, clearly,
it really doesn't matter.
The Republicans had the debate scheduled first. There's no question of that.
Yeah.
It's been scheduled for months.
I'll tell you when I'll get the red ass over it. Excuse my French. It'll be if they preempt the Saints game for it. Okay.
Well,
that'll be when I'll have some concern, as I think most everybody watching this show will. Don't get me wrong. I want to hear what they have to say. I want to be an informed voter, but I think it's just coffee talk and water cooler talk to complain about who scheduled what at what time.
Well, what the Democrats are crying is that basically they have denigrated the office of the president. But traditionally, over years and years and decades, the president has approached the Speaker of the House to convene the House and the Senate for a joint session.
Right.
He doesn't. The president has no authority and no ability to convene the House and the Senate, except he goes through the Speaker of the House. And what President Obama did, as my understanding, he announced that he was going to have this joint session before getting it okayed. And that's a breach of etiquette on the president's part, not on the Speaker of the House's part.
All right.
But facts doesn't matter to the other caller.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you for the call. Okay. All right, so you heard both sides of the argument from each side of the aisle there, if you will, or I guess more of a conservative view and more of a liberal view, if you will, based on my opinion. So if you agree or disagree, if you want to chime in on it, that's fine, 879-1231. Let's just hope that we can watch the Saints game, right? That's what we're concerned about. We want to be informed. I understand that. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I don't think you're going to have to worry about missing, much of pregame or the Saints game or anything like that. They'll replay both speeches over and over and over and over again. We'll all have the opportunity to be informed. I really don't think it's that big of an issue, and it's just one side trying to take away some points and take shots at the other side, as I see it right now. So that it is what it is, to use the cliche. Hello, welcome to Bayou Time. Thank you for holding.
Hello, Jason.
Hey, Mr. Rome, how you doing?
You want to hear a good one?
Yeah, go ahead.
What is dewatering?
Wait, say that again?
Dewatering.
Dewatering. Yeah.
I'm 71 years old. I ain't never heard nothing about dewatering.
All right.
You know what really tickles the hell out of me? By the Lord Dewlat, Shepherd's Row, over there at Montague, and over there at Chauvin, we're not dewatering. You know what the problem is? They're spending money.
Oh, sorry, we lost you. I think Mr. Rome got a little too fired up over that one, and he hit the hang up button on that, the end on his phone. Call back, Mr. Rome. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll see if we can get you right back up on the line to talk more about that dewatering in the area. We'll take a short break.